There are truths about women and relationships that society rarely wants men to hear. In a world that thrives on illusions, the most uncomfortable realities are often hidden behind romantic myths and socially approved scripts. Age gap relationships are one of those subjects. People whisper, people judge, and people speculate. But few dare to explore the psychological depths of why they happen, what they reveal about human nature, and how power, status, and desire are all tied into one intricate dance. Curtis Yarvin, known for his unconventional and often controversial philosophical insights, once argued that systems, whether political or personal, are never neutral. Power always flows in certain directions, and illusions are maintained to keep people compliant. When we apply this lens to relationships, especially those with noticeable age gaps, we uncover uncomfortable truths about attraction, dominance, control, and the deep insecurities that shape both men and women. This video is not about shaming or praising age gap relationships. It is about revealing the hidden psychological codes behind them. What does a woman think when she chooses a much older man? What insecurities drive her decision? And just as importantly, what illusions do men hold when they find themselves drawn to younger women? These are questions men were never meant to hear answered openly, because the answers strip away the comfort of idealism and force us to confront the raw mechanics of desire. Today, we'll walk through 7 powerful insights, filtered through Curtis Yarvin's worldview and the lens of female psychology, that explain why age gap relationships exist, why they are judged, and what men must understand if they want to see through the illusions of modern love. Part 1. The illusion of choice and the reality of strategy. Women often present relationships as if they are purely emotional choices, born out of romance and connection. But beneath the surface, psychology tells us that attraction is rarely random. It is strategic. Evolutionary psychology shows that women have, across time, been drawn to men who provide security, status, and protection. When a younger woman chooses an older man, many assume it's a rare exception, a case of rebellion or a random spark. But in reality, it is often the purest form of strategy, seeking stability, power, and direction in a world where young men her age may still be struggling to find themselves. Curtis Yarvin's philosophy reminds us that power is never distributed equally. In relationships, this imbalance is not just tolerated, it is desired. For women, the age gap is not just about years, but about what those years represent: wisdom, control, status, and the ability to shape reality. An older man carries the aura of authority, something younger men cannot replicate, no matter how much charm or ambition they show. This is the first truth men were never meant to hear. When women choose older men, it is rarely about romance alone. It is about alignment with a power structure that benefits them. Society prefers to cover this truth with softer words: love, connection, chemistry. But the underlying logic is strategy, not spontaneity. Part 2. The silent currency of age. Why time creates power. If money is currency in the marketplace, then time is currency in relationships. Men grow more valuable as they age, if they have cultivated strength, wealth, and influence. For women, youth is their currency, and it declines with time. This asymmetry explains why age gap relationships carry such symbolic weight. Curtis Yarvin often talks about how systems are designed to maintain hierarchies, even when people pretend equality exists. In relationships, time itself creates a hierarchy. An older man represents accumulated value. He has had time to build, to win, to fail, and recover. A younger woman, on the other hand, represents vitality, beauty, and potential. The trade between these two forms of value is not accidental. It is almost mathematical. This is the second truth men were never meant to hear. Women are acutely aware of their declining time, far more than men realize. She may not say it out loud, but every glance in the mirror, every comparison to younger rivals, reinforces her awareness of the ticking clock. When she chooses an older man, it is not simply rebellion against her peers. It is a subconscious calculation. She is leveraging her currency of youth to attach herself to his currency of time-earned power. The world judges these relationships harshly, often mocking the woman as shallow or the man as desperate. but behind the noise lies a brutal exchange that society refuses to admit openly. Youth seeks security, and power seeks beauty. Both get something they desire, and both expose truths about human nature that polite society tries to bury. If age gap relationships are rooted in strategy and the natural exchange of value, then why do they carry such stigma? Why does society, especially in the modern West, feel so compelled to ridicule or condemn them? The answer lies not in morality, but in fear. Curtis Yarvin often emphasizes that social narratives exist not to describe truth, but to maintain control. The collective opinion on relationships is carefully shaped to keep illusions alive, illusions of equality, fairness, and morality. When a young woman is with an older man, this illusion is shattered. It is proof that desire is not fair. It is not democratic. It bends toward power and value, not toward politeness or romantic myths. Women who pursue older men challenge the story society tells about love being purely emotional. They reveal instead that desire is hierarchical. That revelation makes people uncomfortable because it forces both men and women to confront their own inadequacies. Younger men resent it because it exposes their lack of status. Older women resent it because it highlights their declining leverage. And the rest of society covers its discomfort with mockery and shame. This is the third truth men were never meant to hear. The stigma around age gap love is not about morality. It is about envy and denial. People attack what reminds them of their own weaknesses. Society mocks what it secretly understands, but refuses to admit. Attraction is rarely equal, and time always tips the scale. Part 4. The female fear of wasted years. For men, time is an ally. For women, time is a rival. This asymmetry is at the core of age gap dynamics, and it explains why some women gravitate toward older men. The female psyche carries a hidden fear, a fear of wasted years. Every relationship a woman enters is not just about the present, but about her future. Unlike men who can afford to rebuild in their 30s or 40s, women live under the constant awareness that their most valuable resource, youth, is perishable. Every wrong choice feels heavier, every failed relationship more costly, and so many women subconsciously seek out men who can provide faster certainty, men who already stand on solid ground rather than men still searching for themselves. Curtis Yarvin's perspective helps us see this not as a matter of romance, but as a matter of system design. The female mind is conditioned by biology and reinforced by culture to avoid risk. Choosing a man her age, still unproven, is a gamble. Choosing an older man who has already established himself is a strategy. This is the fourth truth men were never meant to hear. When a woman chooses an older man, it is often a direct response to her fear of wasted time. She is not only attracted to what he has become, but also to the safety of skipping uncertainty. The age gap, therefore, is not just about attraction, it is about efficiency. Part 5. The male illusion of controlman, on the other hand, often enter age gap relationships with the illusion that they hold all the power. The older man sees himself as the mentor, the provider, the leader. He believes that because he has wealth, experience, and status, the younger woman is under his control. But psychology reveals a more complex reality. Curtis Yarvin reminds us that systems often invert themselves. Power that looks absolute from one perspective often hides deep vulnerabilities from another. The older man may appear dominant, but in many cases he is just as dependent on the younger woman as she is on him. Her youth gives him vitality, validation, and a sense of relevance. Without her, he feels the weight of his own aging more heavily. This is the fifth truth men were never meant to hear. The age gap relationship is not simply a man's victory, it is also his compromise. He gains beauty, but loses equality. He gains admiration, but risks dependency. He feels like the master of the arrangement, but often he is just as bound by it as she is. This hidden exchange is what keeps age gap relationships fascinating and controversial. Both sides give, both sides take, and both sides hide truths they'd rather not admit. Every relationship is an exchange, whether people admit it or not. Age gap dynamics make this exchange harder to ignore. The older man offers stability, resources, wisdom, and social standing. The younger woman offers beauty, vitality, and the promise of renewal. Together they form a partnership that reflects not only personal choice, but also timeless human bargaining. Curtis Yarvin's framework reveals that every system operates on bargains, political, social, and personal. Power is never free. It always comes with trade-offs. In relationships, this truth is magnified. The older man may believe he is gaining everything, but he is paying with his dependence on her youth. The younger woman may feel she is securing her future, but she is paying with her autonomy and the whispers of society that question her motives. This is the sixth truth men were never meant to hear. Love is not free. It is a bargain hidden beneath the language of passion. The age gap simply strips away the illusion and reveals the contract more clearly. What each partner fears, desires, and negotiates becomes visible in the exchange of time, beauty, and power. Part 7. Beyond Illusion. What men must truly learn. The final and perhaps most difficult truth is this. Age gap relationships are not about morality, nor about winning or losing. They are mirrors. They expose the raw mechanics of attraction, the fears of aging, and the strategies that both men and women deploy to protect themselves from insecurity. Men must understand that attraction is not random, it is systemic. Just as Curtis Yarvin argues that political structures shape behavior, the structure of human biology and psychology shapes desire. Women seek stability because time is against them. Men seek youth because time strengthens them. These forces collide, creating partnerships that are both condemned and envied. But here lies the lesson for men. Do not build your value on illusion. If you rely solely on youth to validate you, you will always chase. If you rely solely on money to control her, you will always fear losing. True strength lies in becoming the man whose value does not expire with age, whose presence commands respect without needing permission. The seventh truth men were never meant to hear is this. Power in relationships is not about years. It is about becoming undeniable. Age may give you leverage, but character keeps it. Without that, no age gap can save you. Ending. The final reflection. So what do age gap relationships really reveal? They reveal that society's fairy tales about love are incomplete. They reveal that desire is rooted in hierarchy, strategy, and survival. They reveal that women calculate more than they admit, and men often surrender more than they realize. Curtis Yarvin's philosophy teaches us to strip away illusions and see the structures beneath. If you apply that wisdom to relationships, you begin to see the truth. Love is not an accident. It is a battlefield of power, time, and hidden bargains. The question is not whether age gap relationships are right or wrong. The question is whether you, as a man, can rise above illusion, recognize the exchange for what it is, and still move with strength, clarity, and purpose. For when you see the system clearly, you are no longer its prisoner, you become its master.